good question is one of the most powerful things in the world because a good question has the power to cast light on the blind spots in your mind. It can reveal parts of that unseen iceberg beneath the surface, reveal an entirely new you. It can literally alter the course of history. Just think about the question Einstein asked: what would happen if I rode a beam of light? What would happen if I rode a beam of light? Which makes me ask, which mushrooms were you nibbling on to get to that wacky corner of your imagination? But more importantly, how cool is it that an LSD colored question like that could change the way the entire world views space and time? As his answer to that question, of course, led to his theories of special and general relativity. So, yeah, asking the right question can unlock an absolutely earth shattering and oftentimes life changing solution. This applies directly to shadow integration as well, of course. Asking yourself the right questions leads to self-discovery, sure, but more importantly, to shadow integration and individuation as a whole, and nabbing that metaphorical gold under the dragon. Because a properly aimed question and timely answer can kill that dragon. One of the monsters in my unconscious was depression. And it was a well-placed question that ended up slaying that beast, just like Thor smiting the beastly Jormungandr, or Yahweh crushing the heads of the great Leviathan of the deep, chopping it into pieces to feed the people in the wilderness. But we'll get to that soon. Let's dig right into the questions, which I hope will help you transform your life for the better. First, how you can use these questions. For one, you can use them in your journal or shadow work journal if you have one dedicated to that. Two, you can use them in your self-talk process, specifically when you use self-talk like David Goggins, for example, speaking with yourself in your mirror every morning or evening or whatever it is. You can use them to create art for the sake of shadow work. That is, let's say you ask the question, what would I do if I knew I could not fail? And your immediate answer is start my own business or run a marathon or whatever. What would yours be? Maybe use that for this example. Whatever your answer is, you can now take that and express that answer with your art. Maybe it's something as specific as a sculpture of you running that marathon, or maybe it's more abstract but just as meaningful, like painting an abstract piece representing courage of a specific form that applies to your answer. You can also use these questions to ask your higher self, for lack of a better word, or anima, or God if you're a believer in God, your most important questions each morning, like Jordan Peterson does, to get in touch with his intuition, with or without active imagination. You can also use them for affirmations, whether that's quick, positive, self-affirming affirmations before an event or something like professional athletes do before game day, or maybe something that may be more in-depth, like a 20 to 30-minute part of your morning routine. And lastly, you can use these questions to structure your visualizations. The way you might do this is by asking the question, let's say, who am I still angry at? Let's say your answer is my dad or my mom. You now have a brilliant thing to visualize to get your unconscious mind working for you in this area. And that is visualizing the conversation you'll have with your father or your mother, playing out both the likely response, good or bad, and the ideal conclusion as you counter each rebuttal or negative response or positive response calmly and wisely. You could also see yourself walking away feeling free from the bitterness, right? After the conversation is over, successfully completed, experiencing what it feels like to forgive and replace that anger with love. Quick side note, if you've enjoyed my videos, if you like, and especially if you comment and subscribe, that'll basically tell the YouTube algorithm I did a good job. So that'll help me get more views. Anyway, back to the questions. Question number one is, what advice would I give someone in my exact same position? Another way to ask this is, What advice would I give my younger self about this specific thing? Question number two, what do I need to say no to? Or who do I need to say no to? Question number three, and we'll go into a little bit more depth on this one. What would I do if I knew I could not fail? I love this question. I absolutely love it. And this isn't medical advice or anything like that, of course, but to share my experience. If you ever find yourself down spiraling into the dull, deadening abyss of depression, if you realize before you fall too deep, answering this question every day can pull you up out of it. I've been there and it sucks. I was actually depressed for months. I had fooled myself into thinking I wasn't somehow, but anyway, I climbed out of that depression by forcing myself to answer that exact question over and over again. And also by visualizing those different scenarios. I would ask, what if I write a book and it becomes a bestseller? Or what if I start a business? What if it actually succeeded? Somehow, after weeks of this, I think, it might have been less, might have been more, give or take, something clicked in my mind and my unconscious started working for me. I actually started believing that maybe, just maybe, I could actually do some of these things. And at least I should try. And it snapped me right out of it. So that's the literally $1 million question for some of you, I expect. What would I do if I knew I could not fail? With the things you would do if you could not fail in mind, ask, what specific fears hold me back from doing those things? Do your best and be as specific as possible. Is it fear of failure? Good. But be more specific. Fear of what specific failure? Public embarrassment, loss of reputation, loss of friendship, fear of being seen as too soft or too hard, too bossy or too meek. What simple but specific name would you give to that fear? Once you name it, you now have a face to your enemy, which can also be your friend. Remember, there's two sides to this coin. There's the shadow side and the light side. If you fear public speaking, that fear that keeps you from doing it, right? That clamps your mouth shut and makes your mind go blank, that's the shadow side of it. On the other side, though, that fear is something closer to what you might actually call excitement, like the adrenaline you feel on a roller coaster, for example. What makes it dark or light, good or bad, is what you do with it. Now, here's a quick side note. Before doing something that terrifies you, whether that's a sales call or talking to a girl or a guy you're interested in, or giving your opinion in front of a group, or speaking to a crowd, whatever it is, when you feel that fear, quote unquote fear, you can reframe your mind by telling yourself that the energy you're feeling is excitement, useful excitement at that, or adrenaline is what I personally call it. But you can call it, yeah, call it whatever, energy, excitement, whatever works best for you. Because think about the feeling that you get on a roller coaster. How is that feeling different from the fear you feel before public speaking or whatever your fear is? Question number, what are we on? 4, 5? Whatever. Next question. Who am I still angry at? Who do I need to forgive? Now, I know this is a boring side note, but please stick with me here if you know you have a hard time forgiving, because it's very likely to fix a lot of your problems if you take this seriously and take action on it. This is something our modern world seems to have forgotten somewhat, or at least devalued a bit. Think about Gandhi's quote, "The weak can never forgive." Or about how important it must have been to the early Christians, for example, who would read in their scriptures, "Forgive and you will be forgiven," in Luke, and in Matthew, "If you do not forgive others their sins, your Father will not forgive your sins." Ouch. So how do you think that translates into the language of psychology? If you fail to forgive, something very bad will happen to your mind and possibly your body too. There's my Reddit explained like I'm five interpretation. Not great, but it'll have to do for now. Because this much is clear. Holding on to bitterness, failing to forgive, has severe psychological repercussions. The literature on that is very clear. It even causes physical trauma like fatigue, insomnia, and lack of libido. So there you have it. You want a good sex life? Forgive your neighbor. Right. Forgive that jerk from the sixth grade who punked you in front of the cutest girl in your class. Forgive your dad. Forgive your mom. Forgive your sister. Forgive your brother. Whoever it is, get over it. It's better for you, right? It's not hurting anybody but you. That's probably not true, but you know, it's hurting you worse than it's hurting anybody else. All right, here's another question. What have I changed my mind on? What seemed important to you last year or a couple years ago or 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 years ago that just doesn't matter anymore? Now, for this next one, let's go back to the idea of forgiveness briefly. Think of someone who betrayed you or someone who deeply hurt you. How do you feel about this person? How has this hurt or bitterness, fear or pain, whatever it is, changed you or affected your life? And can you name the shadow trait that needs to be integrated? If you've been paying attention to your triggers for even just the last few weeks or whatever it's been, recording them in your journal as they pop up, this will probably be a softball for you. Think of the past, distant and near, and answer what triggers you. Just in general, what triggers you? What are your pet peeves? What and who makes you angry or deeply annoyed or disgusted? Mine were manipulative people who like to boss people around, bossy people. You know the type of person who just barges onto the scene and acts like they're in charge, hoping that everyone will just tuck their tails and just, I don't know, sheep waddle behind them or something. Drives me absolutely crazy, especially when it actually works on people. But those things connected me to parts of my shadow that I never realized were there. So the next question is, why does this bother you so much? Identify specifically what you hate about, say, that person that disgusts you or angers you, that person that triggers you. Is it possible you fear becoming like that, or that you are like that, or want to be more like that in some way? What's the log in your own eye, so to speak, that prevents you from forgiving the speck in theirs? So back to the example. I realized that part of what triggered me about the take charge type, the bossy or manipulative people, is a justice thing. It's part of my moral makeup, my character. And I thought that's all it was. But upon digging deeper, I realized that was just part of it. There was something ugly in my unconscious as well. On the shadow side of things was my secret desire to lead, to be in charge. I wanted power, control. Not so innocent, not so noble after all. I wanted control. I wanted admiration, respect. Not that those are all bad things necessarily, but a lot of it was. I was basically pointing and mocking the speck in their eyes while I had a tree growing out of my own. And so there you have it. I'll leave you with those questions to ponder on. I hope they bring you the best life has to offer. If you enjoyed this video, if you like, and especially if you comment and subscribe, again, that'll basically tell the YouTube algorithm this video is worth watching, and they'll show it to lots of people. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. How can I consistently act to minimize the evil done in the world? How can I continually improve the quality of the actions that I repeat every day, as those make up almost all of my life? What would happen if I only said things I deeply believed to be true? What makes me interested in some things and not others, since it doesn't seem to be a voluntary choice? Why has science taught us virtually nothing about consciousness? How can I become strong enough to be useful in a crisis? What do I currently do that adds the most quality and meaning to my life? How can I do more of that and less of what detracts from that quality?